Petya James is coming on. She is a mind and body expert, and she's going to be talking to us about body wisdom for COVID-19 symptoms with a spiritual twist.
This looks good.
It looks good. I like it.
If you guys have not subscribed yet to our YouTube channel, I highly recommend you going and doing that now. It is on youtube.com/soulseekerstv. And episode 2, we interviewed Petya and we talked about what she does, which is called body wisdom. And what she really does is kind of gives you a way to tap into the way to your body's communication system. So your body is talking to you all the time through aches and pains and feeling good and emotions. Like your body is sort of a receptor for what is going on. And if you can distinguish between, what those feelings are, like if you really sort of like tune into your body, you can really get connected to how you're feeling about things. You can really connect with your intuition, and you can learn how to communicate with your body on another level. And I have to say that after having spent so much time with her, not just for the episode, but as friends, we spent time together too. She really makes me really stop and think when I feel any type of symptom. She helped me to kind of go deep into the symptom and think like, what is this connected to? Why is this coming up for me right now? What is this bringing up, and how can I resolve this on an emotional level? Petya's here. That's awesome. Welcome, Petya. So that's been really, really great for me. And it has helped me tremendously in my life over the last year as I've implemented some of her strategies, which is like really connecting to that inner voice, but also to the inner body language. And so I cannot wait for you guys to hear Petya talk about this topic and whatever else is coming up for her. Hi, Petya. Welcome.
Hello, Petya.
Oh, wait, she's muted. Okay, you can talk now.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, thank you for being with us.
Of course. Thank you for having me, and I'm sorry I'm late.
You're just on time, Petya.
Yeah,
I'm juggling a toddler who, as you know, sleep is important. So I'm like, just now, please. 1 minute. 1 minute I have, please fall asleep. And so
Aw, sweet baby girl.
So I'm so excited to be here and talk with you guys because there are some crazy times we're living in right now. So yeah, I'll just kind of dive into a little bit of a body-related topic, and then I'm sure that if there are specific questions, we can address that a little bit later. Is that how it's rolling today, or?
Yes, absolutely. You can go ahead and talk about the aspects of the symptoms or whatever it is you want to talk about, and then we can leave it open for questions.
Perfect. So, I mean, I'm not a doctor, so I'll just say that, but I do consider myself quite in touch with the body. So even when I speak with doctors, I still want to put in my own approach to my own body because it is mine and I live here. And so that's kind of what I'm looking to inspire other people as well to do, is to connect with their own vehicles because they are important. And whatever the body gives us as far as a symptom or a feeling or a sensation, that to me indicates that it's a manifestation of something. So if you guys are familiar with how you've heard about manifesting and how we want to envision things and imagine things, and I feel the same goes for the body. So once something comes physically, whether it's a pain or discomfort, or a sensation or just something that doesn't feel good, to me that's a symptom. So in what we're experiencing globally right now, I feel like there's this the virus is a real thing. I'm not saying that there's no virus and we're just all symptomatic and pretending that something's going on. There is a real thing. But if we look deeper, and this is where I sort of twisted with spirituality a little bit, if we look deeper into what this is, it's affecting a certain area of the body, right? And so we're talking about lungs and um, upper respiratory system, and but mainly the lungs, right? And it's a congestion inside the lungs that then they're finding some more research now to say that the behavior of this virus really is acting fast inside the lungs. So what I want to offer here for all of us to consider is that number one, the function of the lungs. What are our lungs meant to do? And to really tune into that and do more of it. So breath and breathing. The one big aspect that I find a lot of people, and for those of you who are new and don't really know me as well, I come from a massage therapy background. So whenever I would start working with a body, the first thing we have to do, and I got into training and coaching my clients through this, is we have to start with some breaths. Like, I cannot work on muscle tension unless we get the breath going in the body. So that's kind of what I'm bringing up here. Is one of the big things we need to do right now, especially for those of us who are, healthy and feeling strong and not necessarily experiencing all the symptoms, but even if you are, I think that connecting with the breath is really important. So I'll share with you just what I was doing. I literally put my daughter to sleep, and this is not new for us, but I do this all the time. So I'll lay down beside her bed. She's sleeping in a single bed, not in a crib anymore. And you guys can tune into this right now because it is an exercise for all of us. But this is kind of how I put her to sleep. So I'll lay down there and I'll do breathing. I'll just go through my nose and inhale all the way until I feel the breath in my like jugular right there. So I'll just breathe in. And then I open my mouth a little bit to create this sound, and it sounds like, and I keep exhaling. It's almost like my body becomes a sponge. So that is what I'm focusing on with a child. You can focus on this without having to put a toddler to sleep. Luckily for some, your time has gone, has passed. But what I'm encouraging you here is to really engage the function of your lungs. This is what we're meant to do, right? This is what they are meant to do, and this is what our bodies are meant to do. So if your lungs are not expanding and contracting fully, you are not able to nourish your body with oxygen in the best way possible, right? It's your body is depleted, is deficient in oxygen. What happens to a body that's deficient in oxygen? Not good things. No good things happen when the body is deficient in oxygen. The blood can't get the circulation that it needs. Tension starts to build in the muscles. So right now, a lot of people are experiencing upper body tension. So like back, shoulders, chest, right? And that's all the area that encompasses the lungs. So if you can take anything out of this today, is go and do some breathing. Breathing is going to be a savior right now. Not only will it slow you down in your mind, but also it will nourish the body in the way that it needs to be nourished. Can you guys hear me okay? Or am I like loud or quiet?
No, you're perfect. We can hear
Okay.
you perfect. Keep
Okay.
going.
So yeah, that's the first point that I wanted to kind of drive across, is that right now, more than ever, we need to focus on physically on our bodies and how we're breathing. This is important. And for some of us, we have not been taught or even encouraged to take deep breaths. And if you think about society in general, what's the like female, um, encouragement? Like, stand up straight, suck in your tummy, and just like walk around like you're a Barbie doll, which is obviously it's falling apart. That's not how we view female bodies anymore. But there is that in the back of your mind, there's always that show up and sort of like suck in your breath and just, like present. And I'm inviting us all to go in the opposite direction of that and just like let it all go. Like let it all flop. Let it, like, no bra for days now. I don't even know where they are. And and I think that Yeah, it is so, so, so important. Something else was coming up as I was just thinking about some stuff. Um, are there any like things popping up that people want to know about specifically, Trish, that you've heard, or Linda, you guys, do you have any specific body related questions that came to you, or?
I would love to open it up for anybody who has a specific body related question. I mean, I really love the, talking about the lungs, because that does seem to be, actually, I have something for you while we wait for other people. The lungs, that whole capacity. And that's exactly where I feel it in my back. I'm not feeling anything in the lungs. But definitely back pain, like in that area that you described, is definitely present. And my husband's not feeling it in his lungs, but he's just feeling very, very weak. But one of the things that I think is interesting, and one of the symptoms of this virus, and maybe you can give your body wisdom thoughts on it, is the lack of smell and the lack of taste. So I woke up today and realized that I have no sense of smell, because I put on essential oils. Well, just to catch you up, Petya, everybody in my house is sick. So I put on essential oils this morning and I went to smell them and I couldn't smell anything. So I'm just curious, if you're getting any sort of information about why potentially, energetically, why, the sense of smell and the sense of taste might be gone.
Thank you for that question. I'm just going to preface this by saying, reminding you all again that this is information that comes very intuitively, so don't take it as medical advice from me. Also, I'm about to like twist it onto a spiritual realm just now, so just follow me with that, and
we're with you.
Yeah,
Totally.
See how it goes. So the sense of smell, and again, immediately what comes to me is the physical, the body way of like just the anatomical and the physiological things that are going on. So smell is directly connected to the hypothalamus, where emotion and memory are. So that's why essential oils are great for relaxation and working with all kinds of emotional things, because it's so close to that area. So I've been tuning into this and just asking the universe, the guides, the spirits, to give some guidance. And what I'm connecting with is this collective grieving that is happening, right? Like grieving on personal and individual levels, but also collectively grieving the way that the planet, the state of the planet, the way how we got up to where we are. And this is some of the things that you can take into your own journals. How did we get here? Like on a personal level too. Like what just happened? And a lot of what's happening right now is people are in shock, right? And when we're in shock, like again, physiologically think about what happens when you're in shock. Everything shuts down on the peripheral, and all the blood and everything goes to the vital organs of the body so that you can sustain. And sometimes this is where that freeze response happens. So follow me here. I'll twist it right back to your question, Trish. And people are in a state of shock. People are asking, what is happening? No one actually knows this time. No one has experienced it. I don't care how old you are, you have not been through this. So we are all going through something together, and there is a lot of emotional upheaval. So for a lot of people, majority of the population of humans who are alive are not on a level of let's air out the emotion and find out what that means and let it go and breathe it out. And some of us have been exposed to that way of living already, but a lot of people haven't. So I think this is what the grieving is, and there's a tipping that's going to happen very soon here, where a lot of people are going to start to open up, like literally open up in a way they never have. And some won't be able to do that. So that's the grieving process, is understanding that some things will never change. So that feeling of acceptance and embrace and forgiveness understanding for yourself is what has to come first, and then you can open that up for to others as well. It is an individual journey. This is all calling us in within. They're saying stay home. Duh, be with your body, right? Like, don't leave the house, don't leave the home. Get present, get to know yourself, get to know how you've become the way that you are right now, because this is what's going to lift you up, right? That is what the healing is required. And again, it brings me to a state of there's going to be some serious grieving required, because some of our own, I can think of at least one of my very close family members who's not on that same page yet. And it hurts my heart. It hurts my heart, but I can't do anything for them. I can do it for me. I can lead by example. I can share perspectives. I can inspire, but it's ultimately up to people to be willing and open to go there. And this is why a lot of us are now being kind of called to step forward. I personally feel like I've been training up until now for now. Like I've been
Exactly.
in
It's all
training,
physical. Petya,
Yeah.
there's a comment from Rihanna. Can you see it in the chat, or do you need me to read it to you? I think it's super.
There's 2 comments and we had a hand raised.
Okay, so yeah,
Let's
there's.
start with my husband has asthma from Giggles 204, and then I think.
Yeah. Do you see it, Petya?
Yeah, my husband has asthma. What breathing body exercises would be helpful? Okay, so great question. Asthma, and people who have asthma, which is basically the inability for the air to reach all the way to the bronchioles, and when it does, it spasms, so the coughing attack happens. That's kind of like my way of explaining and understanding that. So the breath for him, I think, would be, again, focusing on a deep breath, but counting. So as he breathes in, he's going to go kind of like, it doesn't have to be as deep as some other people can take a breath, but for him, it would be important to hold. So breathing in would be, for, let's say, the count of 3 to start, like 1, 2, hold for 2 or 3 seconds and exhale. So the holding, a very gentle holding. So what I would say is just test it. If he can do a breath in for 5 counts, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nothing major, and then hold for 1 second and then gently exhale, that's great. If he coughs, that means shorten the time. Breathe in for a little bit less, then hold a little bit less, and then breathe out. But I think this is where it's going to become really important to start to challenge the lung tissue again. If the asthma is severe, I would probably say, like, again, I don't want to give advice over advice kind of thing. The person's not even here. But if the asthma is really severe, then even just sips through the nose with the holding would be fine. And what I mean by sips through the nose is just like, just so that there is some air circulating with that. Because what people with asthma, sometimes what they do is they actually tend to like just hold and not take a breath because they don't want to cough, right? The other question I would consider here is, what's the asthma caused by? Is it allergy? Is it food? Is it, what's the diagnosis on the asthma? Because those are all very important things to consider. I'm not looking at the chat, but does that make sense to, and who is Giggles? I mean,
She's my friend.
Awesome. I love it. Giggles. And if you could giggle, that is probably good too.
Yeah, it's Marissa. It's my friend Marissa.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense, Marissa. That's awesome. Since he's a kid. Now, for him, something I would consider here in this time and space is diving a little bit deeper if he's open. Men are on board though, so if he's open to considering exploring the asthma itself, what triggered, back from when he was a kid, that could be a whole path and journey of healing for himself. I personally have seen asthma get much better, come and go, and change over time when people were sort of addressing the cause, right? Like what started that whole thing. Yeah, so if he's interested in approaching that, get into I'm going to be showing up on my business page just for free on doing some live streams on these specific questions, like upper body stuff and lower body stuff, and sleep has been messed up for people. Yeah, he's starting to open slowly, she says. Yeah, that's happening. I'm going to read Rihanna's comments. Hi, Petya. My mom and I have been experiencing some panic attacks as a response to being overwhelmed about COVID and overall stress in our house. I'm wondering what we could do to help minimize them or help us work through them or lessen the symptoms. Going outside for my mom isn't really an option, so what can she do inside to help her? Okay, that's a good question. So if people don't have asthma, they probably have a panic attack once or twice these days. It's not a joke. It's really what's happening. So again, I would focus on something that encourages the breath to come inside the body. So that's going to require some time. So like, again, bringing that back to when I was putting my daughter down, like it's like a 25-minute, 30-minute process. So I'm not saying sit there for 2 minutes and breathe and you're done. It requires you to sit down. Luckily now we have time, so it's hard to have an excuse if I don't have the time. And you sit down and you start to connect with the body on that, bringing in awareness through the breath and exhaling. That is the only thought process that needs to be happening. Is you're breathing in, I'm noticing my breath, it's coming into my body, it's entering my lungs, I'm expanding, I feel my body is getting bigger, and I'm just taking this big breath in, and then on the exhale it's happening very slow, and you're feeling your body contracting, and you're feeling everything just kind of leaving your body, and that's the only thought process that needs to be happening while you're doing breath work. If you are doing breath work and you're thinking about the numbers that you just heard on the news, what they just said about your blah blah blah, like all the things, that is not conscious breathing. You're still thinking in your mind, right? So it's going to take some practice, and it's going to take some willingness to do it, and it's going to take some time. And I think that's the gift we're being given right now. Like, no one can go to work, technically leave the house and go places, and we're being invited to stay home. So I don't know what better time this would be than to start focusing intentionally on these things. There's, of course, anxiety that will come on and things like that. And this is actually what I'll be talking about this a lot over the next few weeks, like I said, on live streams on my page. But anxiety is an umbrella, just like overwhelm, right? It's an umbrella of a bunch of feelings. So it's now the time to start to recognize them and to start to identify them. So what I do is I teach a process, and those of you who have worked with me, you've heard this before, and it's not a secret, and it's very much, it sounds way easier said than done, but the process is this. There are 3 steps. Awareness is number 1. So for as long as it takes you to become aware, to identify, to really just gain awareness around what's going on, that's your first step. You can move forward without actually identifying what you're feeling, where is it, what does it feel like. And for a long time, the body work that I would do with people, which right now I can't because I can't touch people, I can do it on like this on video, but a lot of time it's through body work or it's through a conversation that awareness pops to your mind, right? Like, oh yeah, okay. And how you know is just by the way it clicks with you, right? Like there is a certain drop click that happens when you hear something and you're like, oh my gosh, yes, right? Like that's awareness. It can happen in many different ways. I'm not saying that I'm the only one who can guide you to awareness. You might already have the awareness there. And then once you do have that, the next step is to accept and understand and forgive. So that's the long road of the work. I'm air quoting that because you've heard about doing your own work. And this is where we get to dive into patterns and behaviors and even childhood and trauma. And this is where we get to shine the light on it. And through a guided, supportive environment is where we get to change and shift that. So that's where I think a lot of people are going to find themselves right now, because it's the time we need to shift the energy of these old patterns, old ways of being, old fears, old traumas that we are all holding in our bodies. Because from the time you were born and even before then, there's been situations and events and things that happened, whether or not you remember them consciously, they are still in your body and they are presenting, they're showing up for you all the time. Just the question is, are you actually hearing that, or are you seeing it, or are you just fearing it, which is a pattern in itself, right? So that's the second kind of little big step of acceptance and understanding of how I've become the way I am. How did this happen? Where did this come from? And from the lens of not blame, but acceptance, right? To really embrace who you are and why you are the way you are. It's the most important thing. And then there's one more step that sometimes I find people miss, and then they find themselves in that state of awareness, which we mostly have been living in. You already know what things are that are going on. You just haven't got to the full circle yet. And the third step, which is action. So once you know something, you've done a whole bunch of work around it, please don't stop there, because now you have to take some action to bring you closer to that which you want to see or feel or experience or whatever that is. And this is an individual process. It sounds like I'm telling you a formula, like A plus A plus A equals change. Kind of, but it's not linear. It is very individual, right? Like everybody has their own way of going through this process. So the third step of action might mean taking a nap. It might mean that there's been a lot going on and you've been working through, and now it's time to schedule naps and get some sleep, right? That could be action. It could be a conversation. It could be, and this is where, again, I work with clients and I'm able to help them put words to the feelings that they've just worked through, because sometimes that's hard, right? Like I could feel something, but how do I actually explain it so that I'm coming from the energetic place that I want people to understand about what I'm working through, and not just go on and just unload and let some words out without intention and meaning. So conversation, it like is an action, or setting a boundary. Again, it's important to be able to communicate what it is that you've now gotten to know about yourself, or what it is that's going through that healing process, because people cannot read your mind. Sometimes they could, but not technically. Like, you know what I mean? There's still, people can pick up the energy. So they can't read your mind. They pick up the energy. So if you're coming at something and you're coming from a good energetic place, but then the words you're speaking are not matching that, miscommunication, misunderstanding. And so, blah, ugh, that didn't work. So, you know, another form of action can be literally saying, okay, well, this has been an amazing time, but I'm no longer willing to accept this behavior, and so therefore we're not talking. Like cutting some ties is totally okay. If you find that it's, and I'm not saying you need to cut people out of your life, but boundaries around how things are being related to and what happens, I think that is literally what we're, so in this time, crazy time we're having, other than connecting with ourselves, it's about connecting with your body, understanding yourself a little bit better, asking yourself those deep questions of like, what do I actually freaking want in my life? Like, I'm still here, I still have this body, don't seem to be going anywhere, so what the hell do I want? And then relationships. I think this is opportune time to work out some relationships. We are so interconnected and we are so enmeshed in our connections. I'm talking about immediate family, I'm talking about friends and people. And another way that this is coming through for me right now is the reason why social distancing is now a thing is because people are our mirrors. and you've been looking at yourself in the mirror unconsciously, you've been projecting. If you've been looking at yourself and seeing other people and getting pissed off at what they do and how they live and what the all the pissed off stuff, that's a reflection of you. And now you're being asked to not go anywhere, stop going to work, stop being pissed off at your coworkers, stop being pissed off at traffic, can't be pissed off. Like, so what is it then? And a lot of us are going to be sitting at home with our feelings being like, I still feel like shit. So what is this? And so I think that's kind of what's happening right now. Part of me feels excited because I can see that once we're over the hump of this, there's light, there's sunshine, there's beaches and oceans and and beauty. But there's going to be a little bit of a period of, I think, not so comfortable stuff. And I say that with an open heart because I actually have, I just made a post about this. I feel like I have the energetic capacity to actually hold space for this right now. A part of me feels like I've been training just for this, because a lot of us need to process whatever it is and let our bodies free up from those energies. Is that all making sense, guys, or am I like
It's making so much
It
sense.
is definitely hitting home. Even my mom's nodding, so you know.
okay, awesome.
And I loved a couple of things you said, you know, because like, and I'm so glad Rihanna asked about panic attacks, because that's something I go through. But I love a couple of things that you said. I love how you said anxiety is just like an umbrella, like overwhelm. So there's many things. You can't just, anxiety is not just one thing. It's an umbrella of a combination of different things, right? Worrying about our loved ones, worrying about our health, worrying about connection, worrying about our jobs, worrying about money, all of that is under the umbrella of anxiety. So when you start to visualize it that way, then it helps you see all the pieces. And then when you isolate, that's another way to drop the levels down. You know, I can't fix all my problems in one moment, in this moment. So what will I focus on? And what will I, you know, this time has allowed me to do meditations and breath work that I have never done before in my whole life. I have meditated every day this week. And I have to say, Trish knows probably more than anyone, but that is like life-changing. You know?
It's a sign of the apocalypse, is what it is.
It's just miraculous. And I've been involving my children in it and getting them to, you know, go deep. So I love that you said that. And one of the things I've been using in my meditation is actually something that came from you, Petya, and it's that body champagne, and picturing my cells bubbling and activating and healing, and that visual has stayed with me since we've brought it up, because it is such a powerful thing for me. You know, when as soon as I picture my cells like that, I get super comfortable inside my own body.
I'm like this now, because when you imagine yourselves like that, your body is literally bouncing. I don't know when and how I shared it, but I've seen live blood cell microscopies, right? Like when you do that with people with their blood cells. And there was a study that I followed for a while. Just share this quickly. And there was 2 other things I had to say about anxiety. So remind me if I forget. So the live blood cell microscopy was someone who was diagnosed with fibromyalgia years ago. And this woman felt like that was for life. It would never go. This is just how she has to live the rest of her life. And her cells were literally like clumped together. So there was no bubbles. It was all clumped together. It was like one big, like slothy kind of movement in the cell, which is not good. And a healthy blood cell, they are all like bubbles, exactly what you just said. So that image of the live blood microscopy that I saw has stayed with me. And so the body champagne, the cell champagne, is the bubbly inside, like you envisioning yourselves doing that. And when you go outside and you take a brisk walk, imagine that that's happening too. It's like shaking up a bottle, right? Like it's about to pop up and be like, and
Yeah.
that's energy, you know. I'm
And I
so
love
glad you
champagne, so
mentioned.
it works.
Yes.
Yeah, no. And I even the color of it, because, you know, like if you picture the bubbles are like luminescent and iridescent. So it's just for, you know, I need visuals for everything. And it really, because when you're not used to connecting with the inside, sometimes it's like there's no map, you know. Believe it or not, even though you're inside of yourself, if you're not trained to go in, it takes different tools. And so for me, some of the visuals have really been great mechanisms for how to get out of here and inside of here.
I love it. So on Friday evenings at 7:30, this is something new-ish. I've been doing these live meditation classes here in Toronto, but obviously that's not an option. So we're going back to online. So I will be streaming those through just an audio and Zoom, and it's not like a call connection with people, but it's a listen-in call. So it's about guided body awareness and visualization, because that's my jam too. It's like I want people to connect with their imagination inside these bodies and start to know them. So that is something available. And the thing about anxiety that I really wanted to mention. So this actually came through. I was working with a teenage girl, a 16-year-old girl. And one of the things, she was home from school because of extreme anxiety and just couldn't do it anymore. This was a few weeks ago. And I was like, for that young girl, this is training for life, right? Like to be able to work with her feelings of anxiety at that age, life ain't gonna stop happening. So congratulations, you're dealing with this now and not when you're 45, you know. But the thing that came through was, so anxiety being the umbrella, and anxiety is not something I have. People will say I have anxiety all the time. And I'm like, stop right there. You do not have anxiety. You do not own anxiety. Anxiety is not yours. Anxiety is an experience you're having right now. And the calming effect to that is just reminding yourself that I'm not anxiety. I don't have anxiety. I'm just experiencing some anxious feelings right now. And the thought process is, this is just a moment in time and it's going to pass. It doesn't have to last, actually, is what came through initially. This is just a moment in time and it doesn't have to last. It's just an experience. It's something that I was just thinking that caused my body to react. Anxiety is a reaction from the body. It's not a thing that you have and it doesn't stay there. It is just a reaction. So kind of like reminding yourself of that and knowing that, doesn't it make it a little bit easier the next time this is going to come up? Because it probably will. So Rihanna too, with panic attacks, same idea applies. It is not something that I have right now. It is just my body's reacting to something I was just thinking, oh, well, no shit, I just watched the news. Okay, back up. Like that's not what I'm going to embody right now, right? And it's just being so much more present and kind of like vigilant with what it is that you allow into your experience. And this is something I'm actually doing on Sunday. So for anyone who's sitting with kids, I've been getting this question a lot. Like people are like, I don't want my kids to pick up this negative energy and like carry it for life. And the thing about it is, avoiding it all is also not good, because they are physically here, the kids that are, you know, around, and they actually feel this stuff already. So you being like, oh, let's not watch the news and ha ha ha, all fun and games, that doesn't work either, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm actually going to be doing a live stream on Sunday specifically on this. What can we do with our kids? But that goes obviously for ourselves, is presence and communication. So a quick example is I watch the news, and I've probably watched the TV on news in the last month, more than I have ever, like, in my whole life. I did not watch news at all. Like, I don't care at all about turning on the television with the news, but lately it's kind of needed because I also want to stay informed with my local things that are happening. I don't want just Facebook to be my source of information, you know what I mean? But when we do watch something, I say to her, and she's two, she doesn't understand, but like, it's not it, that's where we're at. And I'll tell her, there is some crazy times out there, and there's a virus that is going around, and some people are afraid, and we're going to hear some news right now, and mommy's going to do her best to process this information that I'm hearing. And just so you know, you are safe, we're home, right? Like, I will just reaffirm to her the reality. And if I hear something and I find myself kind of like elevating in my own emotional capacity, like shifting, I will let her know, I'm feeling a little anxious, but that's not your feeling. Just so you know, you don't need to feel it for me. And I'll just talk to her like that, because no one ever talked to me like that. So I had to grow up and learn how to talk to
I know.
myself like that.
I wish you could, like, mommy.
I can,
I
mommy.
love my mom, but that would have really helped a lot.
I love my mom too, and she still doesn't know how to do this. So she's still like, oh no, we're going to shit. I'm like, meh, okay. But yeah, the whole thing with kids is they are also processing, and they are incredibly intelligent. So think of it, these people that are currently growing up are the next leaders, right? And so we don't want them to grow up with this like contracting feeling of fear, because I honestly don't feel like this is the end of humankind. We're gonna get over this somehow, some way. So um it really matters how we're being with ourselves. It just really truly does matter. Of course, taking all the necessary physical precautions. So like, technically, like, don't touch people, don't talk to people, stay distant, stay home, wash your hands, eat healthy. Like, that is important. Body first, right? So what is the body's need? Health, food, nutrition, sleep, and movement. There's not that much. It's just not that much that the body really technically needs, and we're given an opportunity to focus on it. So that's my encouragement. The earth is needing healing, and we humans are the vessels. So it's like, if you have this image spiritually, the creator or God or energy, spirit, whatever you want to call it, that is omnipresent, enters our bodies and connects to the earth. So it's this trio of ethereal world energy coming through these channels, which are our bodies, and it's up to us to learn to make these channels clear. If these channels are not clear, energy gets blocked. It cannot be grounded and drained into the earth for multiplication and for life force, and so it becomes stagnant in our bodies, and that becomes ill, unhealthy humans. And that is what the planet is full of right now: unconscious, unhealthy human bodies. And it's not helpful, right? It is just not helpful. I'm not saying that in a judgmental way. It's just what we need to recognize and realize. We have these human vessels that we borrow for a certain amount of time. It's really the only thing you actually own is your body, that you have any kind of control over, and it's not yours and your kids. It is just yours. So helping these other people that come through you, like children, to know this truth is what will help us be kinder to our planet. Because if we're not kind to our planet, it's just gonna, like, I don't know, engulf us. Just, I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's not gonna be good.
I really like how also with that image, and you talked a lot about how we're being forced to be home and stay within and go within. It's like, if we learn to honor our bodies, then we will also learn how to honor our planet. Because in essence, taking care of ourselves and being able to put our health and well-being first will also help us to see that the earth and the earth's health and well-being should also be put first. So it's like this collective healing um, that, you know, that I see as an opportunity for us right now. So thank
Yeah,
you.
and I really appreciate as well, you know, because sometimes we think of the earth as separate, like we're on the earth, but then there's the earth and we're here. And when you said we're a channel, and we have to be clear, because otherwise it can't go through us and nourish the earth. That image was really powerful for me, because it connects me to the earth. Like the earth needs me to be clear and to be open and to be healthy in order to nourish itself. And like, what?
Exactly.
Yeah,
But exactly. So I've kind of been aware of this wave of actually people might need to isolate, especially people who have been working with people, again, for that mirroring effect. You kind of need to isolate and distance from everything and everyone just for a little while. Again, not without support, but just to know that I need to separate myself. I've been too entangled in all the other people's things. And for people who, let's say, run businesses and just have to let go of a bunch of people that feel like people are kind of constantly pulling on them, I think a little bit of isolation. So if you know someone who has been, you know, a leader of an organization that is now kind of crumbling down, that person may need to learn to isolate, meaning to separate themselves from everybody else and from identity that they have created of themselves throughout that time. And I think that is the shedding of the identities.
And I so resonate with that. And I think I'm going to use a word that there's probably a better word, but I don't know it right now. But your mortality, in other words, when you're confronted with like how precious and fragile life truly is, life is just so fragile and so gentle. And when you're confronted with that, you're like, you know, does it really matter if my message is perfect, if I look perfect? All the things that stopped you seem so unimportant. And now the only thing that's important is like raw authenticity and sharing and connection, and things that that before were now, I think, and at least from my position, I'm feeling braver in getting rid of some of the shit that I held on to prior to this.
I think there's something to also being called, that the cause is more important than the fear. I think that for me, that's come up, and I'm not living in fear, and that's not a place that I exist. Like, sure, I have thoughts and I have concerns, and things come up for me. But you know, in terms of, you know, where we're at and the virus and all that stuff. But in terms of holding back, I will hold back because I may be worried about my opinion, or offending somebody, or not saying all the things. And Linda and I talk about it all the time, like, you know, like making sure that we're not, you know, that we're including everybody and that we're speaking to everybody. But I've been so fueled by the cause that has kept me going and being present. Like, I've been more present on social media for the last, like, you know, 2 weeks with the idea of this summit than I have been. And, you know, Linda and I have been pretty consistent with the show and stuff, but this felt so personal, because we really want to support as many people as possible, that it's like, I don't care what's going on, I'm going to show up. And I think that that's part of the paradigm shift, where it's like, I don't matter, you know, and then not I don't matter because it is about going within, but more so like we matter. Like,
yeah, transparency and inclusion, of course.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And that's exactly it. So it's no longer, for me too, it's no longer, the question is no longer, should I say this? How am I going to be received? Who the hell cares? Because
Yes,
right
exactly.
now, someone said this yesterday. Where was it? Oh, Josh Leslie said this yesterday. He's like, everybody's got their own channel right now. Like, you have your own channel. What are you going to say on that channel? Because people are going to tune out so easily a bunch of noise. So, but it's true. Everyone's on their phone camera from home, right? Like, it's just kind of what's happening. So if there's anything that is on your heart that needs to be said, it's now the time to say it.
I am honored that you spent time with us. Every time I hear you talk, every time you share, literally every time since I've met you, it like goes so deep and I learn so much and I feel different after communicating with you every single time.
Oh, Linda,
Yeah,
thank you. I feel like I should cut that out and make it a testimonial, no?
Okay. I'll say it as many times as you want.
I love you. Thank
I
you
love
so
you
much.
too.
I
Thank
have
you.
to second that thought. I think of Petya all the time, literally my day, whenever I'm thinking about my body or anything that's happening. As I said in the beginning, it's been life-changing. And I haven't even worked with her officially. Actually, that's not true. We did work together, but being in her presence alone has been pretty life-changing. So if you guys need to, want to find out more, want to work with her, we'll post her Facebook page and her Body Wisdom page so that you can connect with her. Check out her live streams. Go and check out her episode on Soul Seekers TV. It's episode 2, youtube.com/soulseekertv.
And it's one of my favorites. I love that episode. And
The
you'll learn
Blue Jay
about
was awesome.
Yes, the Blue Jay was one of my favorite words, where we talk about Blue Jays and champagne, bubbles in our bodies. It was a great episode.
Yeah.